Welcome to the third episode of Jam-Packed.
Hey.
I have another very special guest. I am your host, Jameela, but I have a very special guest. He's the bass player and does the vocals for the band Deacon Strange, the co-owner of Street Level Clothing. Let me introduce to you the one and the only Johnny B.
Johnny Bezo Parizo, yay! What's up, sister? Good to see you. Good
What's
to see you.
going on? My goodness.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out the last time that we had actually seen each other, and I
guess the last time we seen each other was at the actual first show Deacon Strange ever played,
right,
which is at the same place, Skinny's in North Hollywood. And then the memory before that was, I want to say it was your birthday on the Rocks. Remember that?
Oh wow.
That was the last. Like, that was the last time I had seen you before the Skinny show.
Oh, my gosh.
And I have pictures of that, too. That was a good time. I got on that.
Okay.
What's up with profanity? Can we?
It's a podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got fucked up.
We got fucked up.
You got fucked up. You took it to the face and you got fucked up. We have a lot of memories, but before we get down memory lane and getting into the bulk of this interview, let's start with the first game that we're going to play. So.
Okay.
And as we've discussed before, so is any time that you use a noise filler. So it could be so like anything that you're, see, y'all already starting right now. So we're gonna call each other out with Zora's toys. With we got the balls, Zora's balls, toy balls around here, and I have resorted to the.
You got the big cookie action figure.
I got the cookie action figure. We also have at Jam-Packed, we have Brandon Channels, who I've been to many of shows with, and we've discovered a lot of bands together, and we also actually discovered Allergic together, which was one of Johnny's old bands. And we also have the other owner of Street Level Clothing, Cookie Monster himself, Johnny B's brother.
Big Cook in the house.
Say what's up, Cook. What's happening, y'all?
This is the Goonie Goo Goo Squad. So this is gonna get.
And we're all the Goonies, by the way. It's just not us. She's a Goonie too.
Yes. That was like a deep we're all the Goonies.
Where did that come? I started calling you that. You started calling. I started calling you that. Then you started calling me that.
Yeah, and then it was just like, hey, Goonie.
And it comes from like a Eddie Murphy stand-up. Yeah, Goonie. Yeah. What's up, Goonie?
Yeah, exactly. So if you hear the squeaking, that means that we're calling one another out on the so game. In the midst of that, you may hear Zora's lovely pitter-patting going on. She's somewhere around here wanting to be a part of the action. So you may hear
up
Zora.
Big Cookie.
You may hear my dog's feet in the background. So this will be quite an interesting experience. And now we are ready to play the game.
Hey.
See, I know you were ready to call me out if I use the title of the.
I have one suggestion. Before we kick off this interview, can we just do a shot just to warm things up? Can we just do it? Let's just do a shot.
All right, let's do it. Cheers.
Just to get started.
Cheers. Brandon, cheers.
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 I'll do Brandon for all of us right here.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. Now,
Salud.
Johnny B has personally chosen whiskey. Wait, it's like some fancy ass whiskey that you've chosen for us to do.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Boulay whiskey.
Woo! Oh my gosh.
I like the way it tastes. Has a nice sweet taste to it, and to me, it's better than Jack Daniel's in my opinion. It just goes down nice and smooth.
Oh my gosh.
It's tasty. Doesn't taste like charcoal. Tastes like whiskey.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting rest of the interview.
Yeah.
So now we are officially in session of the game. All right. So the game we've started. Johnny, you've played with so many different bands. You've played with Flambookey. You've played with Allergic. You've started with Brotherhood Circle. You played with Blacksmith. You played with you're playing with Deacon Strange.
Yeah.
Walk us through how you got started and why the change of bands consistently.
Okay.
Because these were all really good bands that were established, and we'll walk down memory lane as far as it just kind of blows my mind. Like Flambookey, you guys played with System of a Down, Snot, Static X, Stuck Mojo, Dub War, Hatebreed, Fishbone. These are all some really credible bands, but how have none of these bands really taken off
cut
the way
through.
that they should?
Well, Brotherhood Circle was my first band that I cut my teeth on, and it was a punk rock band, and we did a lot of cool things with that band to try to get started in the scene and learn our stuff in the scene. And then we got into, then I left that band.
Oh. These two looked at each other, just looked, and they were like, yeah.
Did I say,
Drink up, buttercup.
It's going to be hard on this one, dude, because I got to think about shit that's like 20 years ago. So it's going to be, you know, so anyway. I don't know if I like you niggas. I see what you're doing, Jameela. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Oh my gosh.
So, anyway, I did my punk rock thing with Brotherhood Circle. I was in my hometown with those guys. We left there. We moved to Santa Rosa, California, and which is actually on fire right now. I feel sorry for all those people. I hope they're all good up there and doing their thing up there. So I moved from Santa Rosa in 1997 with Flambookey. Flambookey got started in Santa Rosa, California. We were there for probably about 8 months before we moved to Los Angeles. We moved to Los Angeles. We got signed to Noise Records that had bands like Mind Heavy Mustard and Tourist Satana, which was actually Manhole at the time with Terry B and them. Did most of my early touring with Flambookey.
All right, you ready to take that shot, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
You ready to take that shot? Yes. Yes, there you go.
I know how to drink whiskey.
Listen, we're about to see how whiskey strong you really are. Brandon's already ready. Just ready. So, as you were saying with Flambookey.
Yeah, so Flambookey got signed to Noise Records 1997. We moved to Los Angeles. Started playing on the rock and roll scene in Los Angeles. When we got here, you're dealing with like bands of System of a Down, Cold Chamber, The Mighty Snot, Static X, just to name a few. We toured with Head PE. We toured with Skin Lab. We toured with Ultra Spank. Did some cool things. Then that band just fell apart. You ask how come we never got to the level of our contemporaries that we were doing our stuff with. It's because the cats gave up.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't have the right sort of disciplines that you need to be a rock star.
Right.
You know? And so from that band broke up. And there was a couple incarnations of that. The first incarnation was the original one, which consisted of me, Joey, Stick, and Pete. Pete was the first to leave. Then we got Buddy, who actually ended up leaving our band to sing in a band called Droid.
Okay.
Right? So he went to Droid, and then me and Joey kind of like,
I love it. Self-accountability. Yes. But I mean, they basically all slowly kind of.
They all slowly kind of left. Stick ended up going to Prize Fighter. We got another guitar player. Then it was me, Joey, Buddy, and this kid named James. We did it for a little while. We actually had some interest from Roadrunner Records. Kevin Estrada was looking at us. Then Buddy left and went to Droid. Me and Joey kind of looked around for a while for singers and sang a little while and did some things. Then he ended up convincing me to join Allergic, which was one of the best decisions that I made by saying yes, because I ended up learning how to be in a band with people who are actually songwriters.
Right.
In Flambookey, I did 90% of the writing of the music, not the lyrics. I didn't do the lyrics.
Right.
Then I got into Allergic and formed a really, really good relationship with Scott Chronister, who is probably one of the best singer-songwriters I've ever played in a band with. He could play guitar, he could sing, excellent music writer, a king of melody. The dude had the most awesome sense of melody that I've ever seen. So I learned a lot in that band. It was actually one of the first times that because the other bands I kind of had to be the leader of the band. And in Allergic, I didn't have to do that. And so it allowed me to sit back and listen rather than trying to dictate. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot. I learned how to humble myself because I had people that I could depend on. It wasn't all on me.
Right.
And I also learned how to write songs that weren't super heavy. Did I?
Nice. Cookie's on it. Cookie is on it. Cookie Monster. But I mean, when we first met you, you were in Allergic.
Right.
When Brandon and I first met you, and
Right.
you guys were playing with the band that I was working with at the time, Raising Sons.
Right.
Whoop, whoop.
Really good band.
Really good band. Another band that also should have made it, along
Right.
with Allergic. And there were so many great bands around that time, and I feel so fortunate that we were all able to experience that kind of sunset
Right.
scene life, because a lot of the bands that are out there now are just garbage and boo-boo. I mean,
we were lucky. We were lucky to be a part of that scene and deal with that. There's actually a scene.
Mm-hmm. There was really, truly a scene.
Yeah.
Like, that was before the Key Club. I mean, I'm sorry.
Before it turned into One Oak.
Yeah. Shit, I should take a shot. You know what? Cookie, you slipping. You
You
slipping
sitting
on
here
your
in
tripping.
silence.
I know you got a weak spot for me, Cookie, but I'm going to need you to...
I'm not showing helmet now. You can't fumble the ball, you fumble on the fly. Okay, cool. I got you.
That's the thing about it, like you were saying.
That was before 40/40 Club
Right.
was it? It's 40/40 Club, right? With Jay-Z's club on
I think it's
Sunset?
One Oak.
Or One Oak. I'm sorry. It's all
Yeah.
the same.
I mean,
shit.
before that it was
there's no Key
before that
Club.
it was
There's
Billboard
no-
Live. Before that it was Gazzari's. It's had many different names.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the same place. It was interesting though, something you brought up about how come none of those bands
Looking
really
out, Cookie.
quote unquote made it. Flambookey, I'll take my shot. I'm thinking Flambookey was actually signed to Noise Records and did tour and did do national tours. Never made a video, but we were on Noise Records, so there was no real money to back us for marketing and all the kind of stuff that our contemporaries were doing. Like, you know, Cold Chamber was on Roadrunner. System of a Down was on
Ha!
American.
I
It's
think
Slayer.
you owe like
American.
2 shots at this point.
Do I?
So I'll fill in a little bit. So I mean, around that time, Allergic had such a huge following. By the time we saw you guys, there were professional groupies.
It's
just,
true.
Like, Brandon, you can attest.
It's true. I can attest
You
to
can
it.
attest to the shenanigans. And when we first met you guys, and we were like, "Who is this band?"
There were haters in the crowd. They're like, "Oh, you're friends with Johnny B from Allergic? Like, you know him? You get to hang out with him?"
Right, and I'm like, listen, stop inflating Johnny B's head
Yeah,
bigger than it
bigger.
already is.
You got a lot of nerve,
Ah.
nigga. That's a big ass head over there.
You know what I'm saying? That's why
You over
the
there wearing a
hairline-
size
that's why
8,
the
nigga.
hairline started receding back from all that expansion.
But you guys had such a following,
Right.
and I remember seeing you guys at the Troubadour and basically single-handedly being able to pack
Right.
that motherfucker. And there were
Yeah.
so many people there.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that get good followings that never get to the level that they need to because the backing or the A&R people don't see what the people are seeing.
Exactly.
You know, the majority of bands that are out there, I'm literally saying the majority of bands out there don't get the level of recognition they need. Probably 1% of the good bands out there get signed, get MTV videos, and get all this other kind of stuff going on. Well, back when they used to have MTV
It's really
videos,
true.
but
you know?
I heard they're bringing, like, TRL back.
Are they?
but Allergic.
It's already back?
They shouldn't bring- they
But
shouldn't bring
Allergic, because the
TRL
music's
back.
whack. Come on, let's be real.
They
Well,
shouldn't
yeah,
bring
that's
TRL back.
The
because
music
it's
was
so
whack when TRL was out the first time. So
good.
I mean, coming from my perspective, I'm a punk rock metal rock kid. So, you know,
I mean, TRL was what it was when it came out, but I think when TRL came out, it was appropriate. You know what I mean? It was appropriate. for
she's
the
already
music.
waiting. She's waiting for the noise filler. I'm thinking about this shit now.
I'll say on purpose. We can all take a shot right now.
Go ahead, take your shot, Brandon.
I forgot what I was
Take your
gonna
shot,
say.
catch up.
That's
I
like
think
5
I'm.
shots.
I think
I
I'm on like
forgot
5 or
That's
6
like
already.
5 shots, Negro. But I mean, Allergic, you guys even had a song in the movie Swim Fan, your song Down in Me.
Yeah.
You guys were on in that movie. You guys had a following. People were singing. And for such a jaded city to have a huge following like you guys did,
They don't care about nothing.
what happened? Like, you guys were such a good
Well,
band.
I'll take it like this. So, Allergic did get signed to Electra Records. We got $60,000 from a guy named Josh, or from Electra Records. A guy named Josh Deutsch who was doing A&R gave us $60,000 to go into the studio and do 3 songs. Damn. Give me
then what?
Thing.
I'm slipping.
Cookie, you really slipping. You gonna need
So-
to take a shot for slipping.
I know, right?
So we went in.
Just take the top off the bottle.
Exactly. Just take it.
So we went in with Jim Wirt, who's a very well-known producer. He produced Incubus Science. He produced a few other bands out there. We went in with him. We did 3 songs. They paid us $60,000. We had Bill McGathy. You need to line me up like 2 of them because I said twice.
Yeah,
He owned most of the radio stations. He was going to manage us. Everything just kind of fell through. I'm not sure what fell through. We weren't really the business guys at that point. We were too busy trying to be the best artists we could be at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't handle our business the right way, and we were dealing with different people. And I just think people looked at us and didn't see the marketing part of it, because you had 2 black dudes and then you had 2 white dudes from Orange County, which I thought was a beautiful mix. I mean, fuck
was
racism.
beautiful.
Fuck
Yeah.
racism, you know. I'm not tripping on racism.
I
It
mean,
was-
we'll get to the black folks in rock and metal
Right.
portion of it in a bit.
So we were
but-
doing that, and then it just kind of fell through. And those guys, you know, we did it for about 3.5, 4 years, and I think those dudes were just, as far as Scott and Colin, were over it at that point. And so they went back to Orange County. Me and Joey stayed here, and I didn't do anything for about 2.5, 3 years after that band broke up. That band broke up in 2004, so it's 2 years.
Yeah.
So then in late 2006, Freak, rest in peace, who we should also get to that at one point.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Freak and Marius.
Yeah, and Marius
Marius
Payne.
Payne.
Yeah. So Freak hit me up, and he was like, dude, do you have any black people that want to play bass in the band? He has to be black, though. Has to be black. And I was like, yeah. I don't hear you guys squeaking.
Gotta be black though. Fuck.
That fucking bottle's going to be gone.
It's
So I was like,
already
I'll
looked. It's
do
already
it. And he
at
was
the
like,
20%
don't
mark.
play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. See, but I'm using like in a right way. I'm not going like.
No,
you
no,
know?
yeah, you're good.
So
Like I said, you can't. You can still say English. Like is a word.
So I did it, and that was actually one of the favorite decisions I did when I joined the band. Had a really good time with those guys, wrote some cool songs, went on a national tour, and was actually on a reality show called the Bulldog Music Battle of the Bands
I
with
watched it.
Blacksmith.
It's good.
We almost won it. We almost won it.
Made it to the
We
finale.
almost
That's
won it.
all
We
you
got
can
to the
do.
finale.
I was there. We were there at the House of Blues.
And that was a good time. You had our judges were Billy Duffy from the Cult, Biff Naked, and fucking Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols.
The
I
Johnny
mean,
Rotten.
come on.
Yep.
The
You
Johnny
know,
Rotten.
and we
Yeah.
toured the entire country as a national tour. It was the first time I ever toured on a tour bus, which was nice. Because all the other times I toured, I was in a van with a trailer.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take that back for the world. I still had the time. I probably had the best time of my life touring with Flambookey. We crisscrossed this country about 4 times in about 6 months.
Wow.
And it was the best time in the world. We started off with Stuck Mojo, and then ended up with like Ultra Spank, Head PE, and Skin Lab. And that was some of the best times I've had in my life.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah.
I was drunk.
Beard was black.
Yeah, my beard had no gray. I think I take that back. I had 1 gray hair on this side. Not like that
All the
anymore.
wisdom you just were throwing on them.
But it was the best time of my life, you know. And so Blacksmith ended, and I started doing like my own little beats and stuff like that. When Blacksmith ended, that is actually when me and Levi, who's my co-singer, guitar player in Deacon Strange, we met in Blacksmith. He was actually in Blacksmith at the tail end. And then we started writing in 2010.
But before you kind of were developing what is now Deacon Strange,
Right.
I feel like you've been one of the main folks that have been trying to make this super group band of black musicians and singers to make this almost in a sense what in the vein of Blacksmith maybe, or Bad Brains, or Whole Wheat Bread, or something like that, just an all black band, but it was this super group like of people that were already established in the scene, and it was wasn't it so close? Or you had some folks that you had reached out to, and
yeah, I've reached out to a few people. The first person I got was Will Dorsey to come play drums for me, but he was playing drums for me in Blacksmith, one of the most phenomenal drummers ever. He's in Body Count now.
yeah.
Then he got too busy, and I ended up
Body
reaching
Count,
out to a
new
few
shit's
different
fire.
people, and now we have John Stewart, who's been playing in Fishbone for the past 20 years, in Deacon Strange now. He's playing drums for us now.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little fishbone.
Yeah, we got some
Okay.
Fishbone blood.
Which is kind of hard to overstate. Which is kind of hard to overstate. That's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a big deal.
So,
a little
so
bit.
my band Deacon Strange has had members of Fishbone and Body Count in it, along with all my bands I played in. So you could say Blacksmith, you could say Allergic, you could say Flambookey, you could say Brotherhood Circle. Levi, who's the guitar player, singer, along with me, both of us sing in the band. He had a band called Brain Dead Bureaucracy for a while. And we have Casey Jones, who was in a band called Asphalt Messiah, which was a predominantly black band as well. So for a long time, and don't get it twisted, Deacon Strange is about to get some crazy shit cracking on this black rock scene. And you're going to see when we put our EP out next year, we're going to finish it in December. We put our EP out next year. I'm going to try my hardest to bring some of the people who have promised to come do guest vocal spots on it to come and do some. I probably will only get a chance to get 1 or 2 people on the EP since it's only 7 songs. I'm not going to say who they are yet because I haven't really set it in stone.
Okay.
But I'm going to have a couple of people. When we go to do our next EP or record or wherever that may be, it's going to go to the stratosphere because I'm going to reach out to people who are gods as far as the rock scene as well as being black.
Okay.
And I'm not going to limit it to
I'm
that.
excited.
I'm not going to limit it to them being black because I have friends that are black, white, purple, blue, green, all that. But something about the black rock scene and what it means to me and what I mean to it are going to manifest themselves very, very soon.
I mean, in my opinion, you've always been fairly well connected as far as like music heads and just getting their ear. The first time that Brandon, and of course Brandon would sneak out the time that I choose to speak about this, but one of the times I think we actually went to a show and then we hung out. Right after that show, like Corey from Slipknot was like, "Hey, I'm having a party. Like, you guys want to come through?"
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, "Wait,
Corey's
what?"
a good dude. I used to party back when Corey partied. I used to party a lot. We had a mutual friend named Kane who also passed away, rest in peace, that they lived with. So it was, well, Corey didn't live there, but Jason, who played in ministry for a while, played in Prong for a while. I'm not sure if he's still in it. Was roommates with him, and Jason used to be the front door guy at the Viper Room. And so they lived across the street from the Viper Room. So we used to always go party with those dudes, and that's when I ended up meeting Corey, who's one of the sweetest, coolest, most humble, to be in the rock star status of where he is, one of the coolest, sweetest, most humble guys in the world. And I haven't seen him since those days, to be honest with you, because he's been busy and life takes you in different places.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when they had their party up on Laurel Canyon when they did, I want to say it was Iowa record they were recording. And I literally sat there and watched Corey out sing Sebastian Bach on 18 to Life on acoustic guitar. Sitting there, you know what I'm saying? So those dudes are really cool dudes.
Yeah.
I have been in the scene for a while. I have been in Hollywood for a while. So it's kind of hard to miss out, especially if you're in the scene with all those different people.
Ah! Cookie comes to the
Same
rescue.
time, you too, because
What did I say? Did I say? Is agreeing with what he's saying. You know what, Cookie?
Right.
Cookie,
Cookie's a
because I
troublemaker.
missed you.
All right.
But that's different.
Cookie,
You're a
because I
troublemaker,
missed
Cookie
you.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Next time I'm gonna be like, absolutely,
ain't a word, bro.
absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
It is.
Absolutely, it is.
It means yes.
It means,
Excellent.
It's not.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly, Cookie. Because I missed you.
Okay, cool, man.
I'll take this shot.
Drake, man.
I
don't
take
you
the
go
shot
shot
for
with
you,
it?
Cookie.
I'm gonna take a shot too.
Not for
'cause
Johnny, not
everybody's
for
cooking.
Brandon.
It's my turn.
Who's the word?
Okay, so cheers, Cookie.
Cookie could take one of my shots because I know
Cookie, by the way, is
I know
an
with this
amazing
conversation.
artist. He makes amazing sculptures. Cookie, is there a website people can go stalk you on? Go look at your. You go speak in the mic first. I mean,
You could,
that would be good.
you could check my artwork out at Big Cook Art on Instagram.
At Big Cook Art.
At Big Cook,
Big Cook Art, yeah, for sure.
for sure.
People know how Instagram works.
I don't know if for show. Oh, I guess it is.
Right.
Sure.
For this one, I'm talking about for sure.
I'm just trying to get you out.
Affirmative.
I see that.
Affirmative.
I see that. I see that.
Big Cookie
Yeah,
doesn't
affirmative.
believe in leaving bottles with alcohol still in them.
But I was so impressed by the way that Corey was so down to earth. He was so down to earth, and he just was so personable.
I think that's just the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he has any egos or anything like that. You know, I think he's the real deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Brandon had to remind me that wasn't the first time that we had met. That I think that's when we went to a show and then we hung out. But Brandon had to remind me that we had actually seen you guys with Raising Sons.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take us down memory
I
lane.
met Johnny B at.
Brandon's like the
I almost said
fact-checker.
You got to fill my shot glass.
You said,
see how
Brandon
you're gonna
is
see how
the-
easy this shit is,
Oh.
dog.
Brandon is the fact-checker.
I met my brother at the Hard Rock Cafe at Universal Studios.
Yes, at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Or wherever that shit is. Where
You
is
met
Hard
who?
Rock? You.
You, Negro.
Was it?
Y'all were playing.
Are you sure it
Allergic was
wasn't-
playing with Raising Sons?
I'm positive
you
I
sure-
met you at the Hard Rock Cafe playing with Raising.
Are you sure it
Indigo
wasn't the
Child.
Hard Rock Cafe at the Beverly Center? Remember when it used to be there?
Probably whichever
I
one
think it was there because there was another band called Indigo Child.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that
I
was
missed
that
it.
was
With
the
Indigo
Hard Rock.
Child, that's when I met
That was the Hard Rock
Brian,
Cafe at
last
the Beverly Center.
Yeah.
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 That's when I met Brian.
Beverly Center. Wow.
And it's funny too because the guitar player Christian Darderban was in Indigo Child. Me and Joey C actually recruited him to play guitar, and he played guitar with us for about 3 months, but it just never worked out. So
Yeah.
yeah, this band now that I'm in now, Deacon Strange, I have more control. I'm writing lyrics, I'm singing, I'm writing
Are you
songs.
a control freak, Johnny B? I mean, listen, I already know
Don't
what
ask
that
that
answer
question.
is.
We'll all have to take a
Please
shot right
express
quick.
to the people, where you at? Where you at, Johnny?
Ask anybody who's ever known me if Johnny B is a control freak. I think that might be my middle name.
Hells yeah is
Yeah.
what the middle name
Yeah.
would be.
I'm a take control kind of person. I'm not, I'm not gonna leave my fate to other people who are fucking half steppers or who are, slow. I'm Johnny Bezo, so I take control of my own destiny. And some people don't like it. Listen, most of my relationships, people complain to me about my attitude and the way I do things. It's just because I control.
Really?
I take control. This is my life. Listen, I'm down to negotiate. I'm down to collaborate, but I'm not down to carry dead weight.
I like that.
Oh, you know
Nigga.
what? And on that note, I'm gonna go to my song pick of the week. That is not
I'ma
dead
take a
weight,
shot.
and they collaborate. Man, I used to work with when I
like-
met this Goonie Goo Goo.
Goonie.
like-
Raising Sons, the song called "Falling Deeper." Here
Yes.
we go. All right, and now that was Raising Sons, Falling Deeper. That definitely takes me down memory lane, some nostalgia there. Now, Johnny,
Yes.
the band Deacon Strange that you're in right now, it's more of a rock, metal, punk, and hip-hop influence.
Right.
But what inspires you in the creative process when putting together some songs?
And the creative process of me creating songs has more to do with what comes to me. So most of my ideas come to me in dreams, or when I'm high, or when I just wake up, or when I'm alone and I'm feeling a certain way. Melodies and lines come to me, and then I just hum them into my phone. And that's how I create songs. It has less to do now with trying to be the hardest and the heaviest, and more to do with the vibe I'm trying to set or what comes to me. It's weird. The shit will come to me out of the ether and give me ideas. It's more about setting a vibe more than anything else, So that's pretty much where my writing ideas come from. For a long time when I was in other bands, I had a full band where we would walk into a room. I
think of a riff or a song, and I tell them, let's start jamming on this. And that's how I wrote songs. With me and Levi now, for a long time, we didn't have a band. For a long time, it was just me and Levi. So I would come with a riff, and then he would program drums, and we still do it that way today. So it's more of me and him working together. It's changed the process of how we create songs by not having a full band. It's literally, but I like it kind of better. He doesn't like it because it's tedious, because he has to sit there. I could tell him the beat, but he has to literally sit there and pull up the program the drums. So he doesn't like it because it's tedious. But I like it more because there's two people collaborating. There's two chiefs, so to speak. And you don't have people chiming in on your creation. It's almost like if you're an artist and you draw, right? And you're drawing a picture and somebody's over your shoulder telling you how to draw. And if you're a real artist, you're like, you want to punch them. You know what I'm saying? But if you have someone that's in music and in collaboration of music, it's a little different because it's not so cut and dry that way. For me anyway. When you have a partner who understands where you're coming from, understands beats, understands music, I'm fine working with one person. And I'll be fine working with 4 people as well. Again, I just have to get used to it again because I haven't did it that way in years. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of brings me to, you mentioned yourself being a songwriter and Levi. Levi.
Can somebody
the shots of
we're not done. Can somebody squeak? Oh, here it goes. Shut up. It's already poured.
Oh my god.
Here you go. Oh, you got it.
Here's my shot glass.
Do it and then finish
Cookie,
the question.
You slipping. How many shots did you take, Cookie?
I was listening hard
you're
because
supposed to be the umpire, referee, and then we got Brandon back here snacking on a fucking Caesar salad and shit.
Caesar salad.
All right, well, cheers, guys.
Cheers, goddamn.
Bottoms up to my fucking self.
Woo!
That's poison in the well. Yeah, hey, good looking out, Cookie. Good looking out. Way to have my fucking back. Black folks in the rock and metal scene. You, Levi, black singer-songwriters in metal and rock. What is the problem with black folks in metal? Because there seems to be some kind of inconsistency. And when we were, I don't want to say growing up in the scene, but
we were though.
Basically, learning a lot of life lessons.
Yeah.
What would you say? I have so many questions, but let's just say what's the difference between now and then?
Not very much, I wouldn't say.
Ah! All right, you took that shot like a champ. So as you were saying.
As I was saying, being black in the metal and rock scene, you are a minority of the minority. We're already a minority, and then you get into a scene that is predominantly white. And like my whole point of getting into it in the first place was going against the grain. And I just like the way it made me feel. I like the way punk rock music makes me feel. Punk rock music and metal music, I would say punk rock more than metal, right? But punk rock and heavy music is a very, very close cousin to hip hop. It's still, it's rebellious. It's sending out a message. As far as the rebelliousness of it and the message of it, they're very, very closely related. Now, when I first started doing it, I thought I was the only one really doing it, but there were bands who influenced me to do it. Like I don't think I would ever have had the balls to get out there and actually do it had I not seen Bad Brains, had I not been introduced to Fishbone. These are the bands who told me in a way that it's okay for you to do it. And they were cool, and they were cooler than everybody. They weren't just cool, they were cooler than everybody. So that's who made me do it. When I first started doing it, though, there wasn't a whole lot of brothers in it. You know, one of the first people I met when I moved to Los Angeles on the Black Rock scene was Lajon Witherspoon, who's the lead singer in a band called Sevendust. Right? So I get to we were playing a show we were playing a festival called Foundations Forum, which used to be a rock festival on the West Coast, kind of like CMJ or kind of like South by Southwest, but they would have it out here. They stopped having it. And so I met Lajon Witherspoon sitting on the back porch of the Coconut Teaser, you know, where you get them big ass fucking things of beer that they used to give you in the tacos in the back porch. That's not there anymore. It's still there, but it's called something else, and it's probably some sort of a meat market hookup club. But back in the day, it was like one of the premier smaller rock clubs of Hollywood. And so I met Lajon Witherspoon, had an interesting conversation with him, and watched him actually get into the kind of the stratosphere of metal music with his band Sevendust. It was called Crawl Space. Actually, I take that back. It was called Rumblefish when I first met them. Then they changed it to Crawl Space. Then they changed it to Sevendust. So Lajon Witherspoon's one of the first people that I met that really made an impact. An interesting thing about Sevendust is they're a multi-ethnic band as well, because, you know, Clint...
From Atlanta, right?
Well, you have Lajon, who's black. You have Clint, who's Native American. And then the rest of the guys, I believe, are white. Morgan looks like he might have some sort of Eastern European or something going on. He rocks the dreads. He's probably one of the best percussionists in metal music. But I met those guys back in the day. I think in Los Angeles, I may have been one of the only brothers. I think the only person I remember in the scene at the time, and I might be wrong, but when I first started, the only brother I remember in the scene was the DJ from Sugar Ray.
Oh shit! Wow.
That was the only person I remember being black in the scene back then.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I don't remember any other really. There's a lot of Hispanics. You know, they got to figure out which side of the fence they own and shit. But you know,
that was like.
That was a little later too.
Yeah, that's true. That was like way later.
No, I'm talking before that. I'm talking before that. I'm talking like Migraine. I'm talking like Tony Campos in Static X. You know, like there were some Hispanics doing their thing, and there's many more. You had Chapter 13.
What was that band that we went to go see at House of Blues, Brandon? And there was like a Latino band.
Puya? Remember Puya? Puya was like Puerto Rican.
Yeah, Puya was dope.
It was a Latino band.
Yeah. Of course you have Sepultura, who are Brazilian. You have Sepultura. You have Soulfly, and it's funny because Dana, who was Max's stepson,
rest in peace,
who actually Soulfly is named for, was one of the first, because we used to play in Arizona a lot. So Dana was one of the first people to really pull us into this LA scene, because remember, like I said earlier, we were from Santa Rosa. We were from Northern California, right? So, and it's funny too, because like Papa Roach used to open up for us. I'm good. Like when they were in NRG
like
Studios,
Jacoby
Shaddix.
Like
put it this way: when I first met Papa Roach, there was about 7 or 8 people in the band.
Yeah, they were like a ska band.
There were 7 or 8 people in the band, and Kobe Dick back in the day was my dude. So when they were cut my life into pieces, I was there. I was in the studio with them when they were recording that track.
Wow.
Kobe's my dude, right? So they used to open up for us. A bunch of different bands used to open up for Flambookey back in the day. It's a trip, man.
That's
it's a trip
fucking
thinking about that kind
insane.
of stuff. Yeah.
But to like be connected to all of these people that have progressed, and they all seem to be white. And I don't want to make this a race thing, but I mean, even when Blacksmith performed, an all black metal band that still had the balance of soul and grittiness and metal, and you had Freak just like killing it.
Freak, who was a legend, who played in Beefeater, a Discord band from DC,
that's what he was in.
Back from the fucking Bad Brain days, back from the old school days. Freak was a legend. I just have to put this out there, man.
Freak
this
knew,
dude,
like Dave Grohl and like all these,
because they're all from DC punk rock scene. Dave Grohl's not from Seattle. Dave Grohl's from fucking Virginia. Dave Grohl's from that DC punk rock scene, right? So he knew Freak, right? And what people didn't understand about Freak was that Freak was a real OG punk rocker. Like, He wore the same thing every day.
For real.
He wore the same fat skinny jeans,
Yes.
the same black tank top, the same little vest, and he was a real punk rock dude.
I fucking love and miss him. Like,
It's very unfortunate what happened to him. You know, and I kind of seen the decline from Blacksmith because he quit his job that he had to go on tour with us, and then never really recovered from that.
Yeah.
You know, so then he was on the streets, and he would come by my house and eat barbecue and spend the night and take a shower. But he was a very humble. He was a true punk rocker. He didn't want to take advantage of any situation. And I told him, dude, you need to stay at my house 3 nights a week, take a shower 3 nights a week, come over. And he would say, all right, John, but he would never follow through with what I gave to him as far as that invitation, right? So it was really tough for me, and then it was weird because for like 2 years you couldn't communicate with him. You didn't hear from him. You didn't know what was going on with him. You were worried about him. You probably thought that something already happened to him. And then when one of my friends hit me up and said on Facebook everybody's doing RIPs, it kind of crushed me, man, because he was really one of the true, like I look at people as far as respect of who they are. He was the real deal. You know,
absolutely.
so, and I miss him. I love him. He was a real true black rocker. I think I was probably closer to him in attitude than anybody else in Blacksmith. Outside of Will Dorsey is a good dude, an amazing musician. Doesn't really live the punk rock, hardcore rock and roll lifestyle, but hey.
Freak was about that life. And Freak was such a beautiful soul, and I personally firsthand can always say that Freak was I miss Freak and his spirit and just hey fucker, like what's like he just treated everybody as fucker.
He was the real deal. That may have been part of what led to his demise. Maybe he said that to the wrong person, didn't understand where he was coming from. He wasn't a violent man. He wasn't a violent person.
Yeah.
He was out to shock.
Yeah.
And that natural thing about him, but he hit some really hard times.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude fought cancer off like 4 different times, you know, dealt with different things. And I love him and I miss him. And I have a picture that I framed and matted that we had at our last show that a bunch of people signed, and you have to actually sign it. I haven't framed it yet.
I need to sign it.
I haven't framed it. If I would have thought about it, I would have brought it for you to sign.
I guess the funeral ended up being like on the East Coast or some shit like that.
Yeah, the funeral was on the East Coast. I didn't go. I wish I
didn't
could
even
have. You know,
about it
it's just
on
that
the
short
East
notice
Coast.
to get a flight back there, and it's just a lot financially. We did our own little memorial for him at our last show, where, like I said, I framed a picture, had every bunch of people sign it, and I haven't framed it yet because there's still people that need to sign it, like yourself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I miss that guy. All right, I'll take it.
Cookie's squeaking like a motherfucker, but let's just say he hasn't squeaked all freaking segment. And it's been a cool minute, so I feel like low key this is like drunken progress.
I'm thinking about it.
This is drunken
I
progress.
said a couple times.
You did,
and
but
it
we
got
were so into your story.
right
that
because
it
let's
was
tell the
just
story.
like,
Let's
yeah,
tell the
like,
story.
Yeah.
We're gonna drink the shit. It's cool.
Yeah,
the drinking game's awesome.
I didn't even spot it until Cookie started fucking squeaking a little fucking ball.
I spotted it, and I know Cookie spotted it too, but he let me continue telling the story. But yeah, Freak.
Yeah. Freak,
probably
rest in peace.
at the
I
top.
miss him. Like
At the pinnacle, and it's crazy because like now I'm really good friends with the people who are my idols, right? So I'm really good friends with a lot of the dudes in Fishbone.
yeah.
Like I have that shit inked on my leg. Now,
Nice.
Really see it 'cause I'm black as hell.
You so black.
But you know, I got.
If you want to see how black Johnny B is, go to youtube.com. Apparently it's / JAMPACKED show.
So yeah, so now I have like I'm really good friends with Norwood. I'm really good friends with Dirty Walt. John Stewart, who's played in Fishbone for 20 years, is in my band at the moment.
Wait, you said Norwood?
Norwood Fisher is one of my good friends, but John Stewart,
Oh, okay.
who's the drummer, I play
about to,
bass.
like stab you in the eye if Norwood was.
John
yeah,
Stewart,
fuck
who's
it.
been in Fishbone for the past 20 years, is playing drums for us now.
I
Goddamn,
mean, that's still
hiccuping.
freaking incredible. But that's.
You know, I kind of want to elevate my band to the level it needs to be elevated to.
Yeah.
And I put this band together. And now it's going to start to manifest itself. You guys are going to hear about Deacon Strange in 2018 for sure.
Listen, he put a shot of this goddamn whiskey in front of me. And this
She
is
already
a
had
problem.
one, but-
He threw me off. He fucking put a whiskey shot in front of me, and now I'm like,
Hey, it's your idea with the ums and the ohs.
now I'm like stuttering Stella over here. This is like a fucking mess. But I'm stuttering Sally.
And but I was saying earlier, like I think you had mentioned something about the Afropunk festival. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that shit going on the East Coast. It's happening in New York. It's happening in Atlanta. It's not happening in L.A. It's not happening on the West Coast. We need to get this shit cracking.
Word.
But what I'm saying is, it's kind of already organically happening without a name on it. You have Year of the Dragon. You have, of course, the Mighty Fishbone. You have Deacon Strange. You have bands that are out here on the West Coast that are black, African American
It's rooted out here.
influenced rock bands
We fly to New York for Afropunk.
that I think are more so. I haven't been to Afropunk yet, but I start to see that it's being a little bit
Pictures
more
and all
corporate.
that stuff.
It's being a little bit more people who aren't punk to a certain degree as far as the music, but their attitudes are. So I can't really hate on it. But we are Black Rock. I am Black Rock.
Yeah.
I am Afropunk. So I want to see it manifest itself a little deeper on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this podcast is Afropunk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna do it. We're making it happen, and it's gonna happen soon. And come to the show on the 18th, and you'll see some Afropunkness.
Come to the show on the 18th. It's a good show. I've seen them before. Trust me, I would not steer you wrong. I'd be like, yo, Johnny, y'all need to get your shit together.
Nigga, we need to get
it-
Raising Sons back together so they can come play with
I've
us.
been trying. That's been like a 10-year project.
Hey, I see
How
the-
long have they been fucking broken up?
I see the gut.
yeah.
I mean, broken up or hiatus. I mean,
Whatever you want to call it.
whatever you want to call it. Stop playing, whatever. You know, but Taryn, RV, and I see the redheaded dude Scott out. You know, I know they had issues with drummers as long as they're doing the shit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But it would be great to see those guys come out. I would love
They're an incredible band.
I would
and
love to like get them back together rehearsing so we could just do a show.
I would live for that.
Yeah,
Like,
that would be
I
dope.
mean, they even opened up for Priestess, like
Yeah.
in Canada. That was a fucking crazy.
I remember when you
match.
guys were doing that. I remember when
Yeah.
you guys were like pushing hard for that band.
Yeah,
it was
just-
a good band.
Just being on the road with those guys was like some other shit. I can imagine how it was with Allergic, but
Well, Allergic didn't
like
really hit the
dealing with-
road.
yeah,
Flambookey hit the road more than Allergic hit the road regionally. Flambookey hit the road nationally. I'll never forget that. And it's like crazy, dude. I'm old. It's like a few years ago. I'm not gonna say how many, but you know, traveling this country and seeing this country, having an idea about the diversity of the different regions, how they speak, how they eat, how they party, all that kind of stuff is, you know, the United States of America is a big place.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so that was very eye-opening to me. It actually led to being a little bit more aware of where we live as far as our country goes, you know, because a lot of I feel a lot of the issues that people have, of course, the number one thing is poverty, where people don't leave their block and they end up going to prison for life for 20 years or something like that because they had never left their zip code. You know, if you traveled the globe and seen what we live on and met different people and had the opportunity to do so, I think people would be less violent, less ignorant, less all of it, you know?
absolutely.
So
And on that note, you want to take us into Deacon's Broken Strange? What compelled you?
Deacon's
guys to-
Broken Strange.
Oh shit! I've had so many shots. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Deacon's Strange.
Deacon's Broken Strange.
Deacon Strange is broken.
Nuclear, nigga.
That was
That was nuclear.
When you
nigga,
say Deacon's
nigga, that was
Broken Strange, fucking
brain
fucking
diarrhea.
over.
Fuck brain fart. That was brain diarrhea. That shit's
Listen.
leaking all down.
I've been eating a lot of kale. Okay, so listen, take us into.
Let me take you into it.
Deacon Strange is broken.
So this song is called Broken. It's the first song that we put out that I wrote the lyrics for and wrote most of the music for, and it is our first single. And here it is, Deacon Strange, Broken.
That was Johnny B's song by Deacon Strange called Broken. You doing good, Johnny?
I'm doing good. Can we talk about what that song is about?
What was that song about? Because I feel like a lot of the shots have settled in. So
It's settled, and that
please-
makes the podcast even better. That's a good idea, Jameela, to get people fucked up so that you could get them to talk about shit.
Listen, it's provocative.
You know what I'm
Can I
saying?
say?
With your clean ass fingernails. Like, goddamn, girl.
Hey.
Did you scrub them motherfuckers before
Fuck
you
you,
got
I
them?
bite my fingernails. Fuck you in these streets. Go ahead and tell us what that
So the song
was about.
Broken is about trying to help people that don't want to be helped. And it is.
Brandon had to squeak on that note.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, dude, that's all we do all day sometimes. You know what I mean? We try to be good human beings, help people, try to bring them up to another level, another frequency of vibration, and people just don't want it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Broken is about. It's about trying to help people that don't want to be helped. And I feel that that's a subject that everyone on the planet Earth can relate to.
That's deep.
But is there a way to help people that don't?
There
wanna
is
be
a way
helped?
to help people. I mean,
that
if they
don't want to be helped.
that don't want to be helped, there's not a way to help people that don't want to be helped because they don't want it. You know, you could try to convince them that you're trying to help them be a better person or try to be more successful or try to have more fun. But if they are so stuck in a way that you can't, then you can't. And that's what that song is about.
No.
Yeah.
Now, listen, we talked a little bit about being black in the scene, and now there's the Afro Punk
Right.
Festival. James Spooner came together and, or not came together.
Is that the
but
is that the
James-
creator of
James
Afropunk?
Spooner- James Spooner was the creator and the director of Afropunk.
Is he still a part of it?
You doing the squeaking back
Is he
there
still a
right
part
now.
of it?
I don't know if he's a part of
I'm
the
here to help.
festival, but he created the
So he's probably still an
documentary.
owner, and he's probably still a part of it that way.
James
He-
Spooner is still the.
He
I feel
created
like
the documentary.
Afropunk is still his intellectual.
I
property.
want to play Afropunk. Like that is, and it's funny to me because being the vintage person that I am now,
He said vintage.
and knowing what it is,
means fully
nigga, I heard your. But I want to see more punk in the Afropunk, right?
Word.
So,
Yeah.
Real
so,
talk.
so for me,
Very real
and I
talk.
don't want to take away from what they're doing because I think what they're doing is a beautiful thing, and I think that people like Ice Cube and Tyler the Creator are punk, right? So they have, even though they're not playing punk rock music, their attitude and what they're doing and how different they are and what they're doing is punk rock. So I love Tyler, I love Ice Cube, I love all that, but I want to hear distorted guitars, I want to hear rebellion, I want to hear funky underarms, I want to hear slavery in the Afro punk of the Afro punk. And I know that I embody that and I want to be a part of it so fucking bad because it is who I've been since I've been like 16 years old is an Afro punk. So I do embrace it and I am what they are, but it's really hard for me. Like I don't want to see Iggy Azalea playing Afro punk. Like I don't want to see fucking pop people playing Afro punk. I want to
Yeah.
see punk rockers and metal people and the alternative
Can I
black
speak on
people playing Afro punk. Yes, you
Yeah,
may.
can I speak on this?
Go
one
ahead,
of the, one of
Brandon.
the biggest names in hip hop right now is Lil Uzi Vert. And one of the biggest conversations that's being had is Lil Uzi Vert. You know, he typecasts his font to look like Metallica, and he wears Marilyn Manson shirts and shit like that. So the question in everybody's mouth right now is Lil Uzi Vert really a rock star? Is this rock or hip hop? And this is an artist who is a dope artist. I like his music, but doesn't have live instruments, isn't a band, you know, is arguably a punk aesthetic. If you really want to talk about what punk really is, take it back to its roots and the foundation of what punk is talking about, which is having an idea of, you know, what is the status quo, what is music, you know, we can turn all conformity and turn all of your conventions upside down and make you question everything, what the fuck is, you know?
Yeah, and punk rock music, like for me, right? Like so, punk rock music. So I just want to go here for a second, right?
Is you know like a
Let me go. I mean, give
Did he
him.
say,
He has. He needs.
Take a shot. I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to make a point.
Take the shot. He got a shot back there. He got a shot on his fucking nightstand.
Okay, so let me get back to punk rock. Let me get back to punk rock really quick, right? So So like punk rock, for instance, right? So Bad Brains are the creators of hardcore punk. They are the creators of it. Like nobody can dispute
Facts.
that, right? So all black band created hardcore punk rock, right? And then you get into bands that are really influential. Is that a right word? Influential.
Yeah.
Over.
Make up your own words. It's all good.
I'm drunk. Whatever. Fuck you. So
Make up your own words. It's all good.
So, Dead Kennedys, DL Pellegro, the drummer for the Dead Kennedys was black. Like black people have always been a part of punk rock music. It's not new. It's not like we're trying to jump on a bandwagon. We were there in the beginning of it. We created it, just like we created rock and roll music. It's no fucking different, right? So, for the Afro Punk Fest, I wish more of us were into it, and I'm glad that my people that I love that are inviting me to this podcast, that are sitting behind me, that's sitting next to me, are punk rockers in their own right, in their own way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like we're anything new. I think that we're just trying to be more recognized in it. That's it. You know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cookie, you got any thoughts?
Oh man, I'm getting blasted.
Yeah.
Cookie's
I
a punk
love it.
Chime
rocker.
in so I can squeeze my little
Cookie's a
ball.
punk.
Make you drink.
Cookie's a punk rocker. If you look-
Cookie's been there just watching shit. Like,
He's my
as
twin
an
brother.
observer. Like he's been observing shit. So
I mean, when
feel
when we first started, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When we first started,
I think she's just trying to make me talk so I got.
so that's the you know. But when I first started playing, metal music, it was tough with my crew because my crew were gangsters. My crew were fucking on some gangbang hip hop shit, and I was don't get it twisted. Like I didn't start in punk rock. I was there when hip hop started, right? So I was there when Sugar Hill Gang. I was probably 8 years old, but I was still there when Sugar Hill Gang came out. I was there when that shit started. You know what I'm saying? But when I turned 16, 17 years old, hanging out with my little white skater friends and shit like that, and they introduced me to Dead Kennedys, they introduced me to fucking Metallica. I felt it. You know, it wasn't about trying to be. It was about the way it made me feel.
In
you
the
know?
80s, baby.
In the 80s, and in Public Enemy is punk rock. Run DMC is punk rock.
Thank you.
Public Enemy came out with Anthrax before anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Run DMC was doing rock box with electric rock and roll guitars, talking about they were the kings of rock. Right, so we have been
And we're playing.
and intertwined in this heavy rock rebellious music from the gate.
And weren't playing, you know what I mean? Did it at a time where it wasn't commercial, it wasn't expected. You weren't doing it to make money. You weren't doing it to be popular. You know what I'm saying? Au contraire, you were really taking a risk, and you were really taking a chance for people to look at you and say, "Why are you doing that?" You know what I'm saying? Why are you stepping outside of that box? Why are you being inclusive of these people? You know what I mean? Yeah. When people really weren't doing that, and I think now, you know, fast forward 30 years, you know, we take for granted how common it is to see a white rapper, how common it is to see,
they will let white rappers in our shit all day, right? So you could be third base to Eminem all day, but then as soon as a black person picks up a guitar and starts rocking out, like Chuck Berry was doing before I was born,
Word.
like Muddy Waters was doing before I was born, you know what I'm saying? Like Howlin' Wolf was doing before I was born. We created it. Jimi Hendrix is the one who put distortion in rock music. You know what I'm saying? So for them to sit there and say that we don't have a place in this, they don't know the sense of history. You know?
You hear YG and
Give him the mic. Give Cookie the mic. Let him.
and it's crazy because you hear YG and the homie Nipsey Hussle, you know what I mean, say fuck Donald Trump, but as soon as Eminem jumps on it on the BET Awards, it's a major thing. You know
But
what
it
I
is a
mean?
major
So
thing when
it's a
Eminem
major
jumps on
thing,
it
that's
and
real.
says
But
that.
at the same time, you know what I mean, it has a whole different. There's a whole different outlook on that. You know what I mean, and that's where I'm coming from. You know what I mean, like black people in music really don't have, you know what I mean, that I guess pedestal. You know.
Is that what kind of inspired Broken, or what inspired Deacon Strange's Broken? So
Well-
apparently
well-
last time I announced that shit, it was wrong.
Well, what inspired Deacon Strange's? To be honest with you, what inspired Deacon Strange's Broken was it has more to do with like the bands I've been in, right? So, and you were speaking on that. You said, how come the bands that you've been in have never broke or blah blah blah? And there's a lot of different factors that come into that. But like in the recent history of me trying to help people, we had a dude that came. I'm not going to mention his name. Dude came in We tried to make him our lead singer. Nobody would know who he is anyway. We tried to make him our lead singer. He was a black dude.
I would probably know.
You wouldn't know. He was a black dude. You don't know him. He was a black dude, and we wanted him to be our lead singer because he was soulful. He was powerful. He had a powerful voice, but he was a fucking junkie. You know, like we all party. We're the party central. Like niggas know how to get down. But I'm not a junkie. But I'm not a junkie. Right? So there's a difference between partying and it taking over your life. I take care of a 10-year-old daughter. I have a 40-hour-a-week job.
10
She's 10, dude.
How was she 10 already?
Nigga, don't try to get mad because you
my-
old. Like
I
remember when you clowned. I'll never forget this.
Oh my god.
I remember when you yourself, Jameela Hammond, clowned me
Wait, why do you know my last name so deeply like that?
for pulling up to a party in my Honda Element, which I'm still driving. And you go, nigga, you in a Honda Element? I was like, dude, I got a baby in a car seat, dude. I can't drive the 2-seater no more.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you knew the Johnny before that, and then you knew the Johnny with the fucking family car, you'd also be questioning the same shit.
I'm not mad at you. I understand. I
mean, wow.
But
like
broken.
you have a 10-year-old.
I have a 10-year-old.
You're responsible for a 10-year-old.
10-year-old.
How is that family life?
I've always been a family person. So being a part of being a family person and a father, that's father is different than family, right? So I'm a father now, and it's a trip. I have a daughter, so
Jesus take the wheel. Johnny B has a
Jesus
daughter.
took the wheel.
That's like karma. That's karma and Jesus taking the wheel all at the same time. Like,
Did you hear that? I said I have a booger on the line. I was like, no. I mean, I'm telling you, dude. Like, I've never been like super disrespectful. I think I might have been a creep here and there to women. I'm sure. I've never been disrespectful, but I have a kid now that's a girl. That's a girl, and it has made me be a little more conscious about my shenanigans. But I've never been disrespectful. I think I've been persuasive, but I've never been a disrespectful.
You've been persuasive? Is that what the fuck you call it?
Don't make me talk some shit, nigga.
Listen, we can talk shit.
Oh yeah, you want to talk some shit? Are you sure?
Always win the battle of talking shit.
Are you sure?
Listen, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? I know you for a long time.
Like, picking his ear like, this
I've
is
known
gonna
you
be
for a long
close
time.
battle right now. Like,
You know what I'm saying?
listen, there have been some things in the past.
Hey, fun.
Listen,
lesbian sex. Hey, all I gotta say,
If you listen to
lesbian
episode
sex is
1
amazing.
and 2, if you listen to episode 1 and 2, I own my shit. I own my shit.
And you should. There's nothing to be ashamed about. I don't think there's anything,
not.
you
But
know.
now you're a dad.
I mean, maybe there's some things in my past I might be a little ashamed about, like
Jesus take the
shit.
wheel.
if there would have been like video cameras, I may not have done that shit. But
There have
hey.
been some. Yeah, I wish there were some video cameras.
Oh,
on
do
your
you?
ass. However, listen, Cookie's like, I don't know what to do. But now you're a dad.
I'm a dad.
Now you have to be responsible and like
Well,
accountable and like a fucking role model. at this
Thankfully,
point.
I mean, the role models that me and my brothers, my real brother Big Cookie, and my adoptive brother Brandon Channels, who looks like us and could be our real brother anyway. The shit that what was the question? I fucking lost my train of thought. Where is
I feel like you need to take a shot for that train of thought.
You can't even talk.
I can't.
Because
speak
you said
right
train
now.
of thought. Because you said train of
Yo,
shot. Let's take a
fuck
shot
you.
together. Come on, let's do
Oh,
it. You ain't gotta go nowhere. We're in your house. Goddamn.
fuck you.
Let's do the fucking shot.
Cheers. And make sure to join us every Wednesday as every new episode is released on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and make sure you add us on Instagram at JAMPACKED Show. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or you'd like to be a guest, go ahead and check us out and email us at jampackedshow.com. Thanks again, and have a great rest of the day.